Hello, I'm Dr. David Kaufman. I am the co-program director on the online MSc History, and I also teach the Shadow of Versailles, Interwar Europe 1918 to 1939. I've called the course the Shadow of Versailles because the peace settlement that attempted to end the First World War was so important for everything that happened in interwar Europe afterwards. It didn't only set the borders, but it also set the tone of politics in the period after the war. So it affects the culture, it affects society, it affects, quite obviously, the politics that's going on, as well as, of course, determining the actual fate of the continent itself with the slide towards the Second World War. The way that we're going to study interwar Europe isn't on a country-by-country basis. What we're going to do is a rigorously comparative approach. Now, what this means is that we cannot look at one country in isolation. What we have to do is view events that take place in the individual countries, but within the wider picture of what's going on in the continent as a whole. And what I've done with this course is I've tried to make sure that students themselves can follow their own interests and they can move beyond the traditional assumptions of much of the historiography, but also many of the interpretations that historians have of the interwar period, where they tend to actually just look at countries on an individual basis. While it's impossible for historians to reconstruct a complete history of the past, I think it's important for us to try and get as fully rounded a picture as we possibly can. And this is one of the aims that we're going to try and do in this course. What we're doing is we're having a look at themes, we're having a look broadly across countries, but also what we're trying to do is we're trying to ensure that we move beyond some of the rather lazy assumptions about the interwar period, also the inevitability or not of the Second World War breaking out after the First, and try and examine the interwar period within the context of those who actually experienced it themselves.